Hi everyone, Sean here for theworldcupnow.com, bringing you Barclays Fantasy Premier League tips for Game Week 29. Now, this week is a short game week with only 5 fixtures on the list, all featuring on Saturday, and we're going to go through each one of the fixtures, do some clean sheet predictions, and then see who would be the best choice for captain, as a lot of the options have diminished since there's only half the amount of teams playing. So we'll flip the script. We'll go over and I'll take a look and we'll go through that right now, and hopefully we can get you guys a captain and maybe see if it's worth taking a hit. But we'll do that once we flip the screen. Okay, so we're just here on the fantasypremierleague.com website, and as you can see in my player news, as I scroll down in this section right here, you can see I am hurting. I have 5 players all showing doubtful. Walker on Spurs has been sitting out the past few games, I'd say about 3 games. I am expecting him to come back and feature against Chelsea just because it is a good fixture, big fixture I should say. So they do need that, that kind of that pedigree, that talent, kind of that holding force down there with Vertonghen. Now, also Snodgrass. Picked him up last week, and this just happens to be one of those seasons where it's one of those seasons. You pick up Snodgrass, or I picked up Snodgrass. He featured for 45 minutes, and he got a yellow, and then was injured. Just goes to show you, you get 0 points, and you're thinking you're going to do really well, and something like that happens. It's unfortunate, and there's nothing you can do about it, but you can just, grin your teeth and bear it and keep going. Shimak with a hamstring is showing doubtful. I watched that as it happened, and even as of this afternoon, March 6th, Tony Poulos was saying that he's going to be kind of a game time decision. And then I have Kelvin Davis, my backup goaltender who doesn't play, is showing injured, which is quite odd. And then I have Koscielny, who isn't featuring and is on my bench, showing as doubtful. So then I have my players who aren't playing because of the fixture list. We have Nolan, who I'm just unavoidably, or I'm keeping, so I'm just going to have him playing. And I have Koscielny, Silva, and Suarez, all of whom I am keeping going into game week 30 and 31. But again, it's going to be a tough week, and I think a lot of people, from what I'm reading and from what I'm hearing from comments and other questions from people, is that it's not worth taking a hit going into this game week. It's just kind of understood among fantasy managers that this week is going to be a low-scoring, really tough kind of week points-wise. So that being said, it doesn't mean that you can't prepare yourself. We all have, or should have, at least one free transfer that we can take advantage of. So why don't we take a look at the fixtures, as I said, and we can go through and maybe come up with some captaincy options. So the very, very early game with West Brom hosting Man United will be a good game. I think West Brom having the home field advantage will work well for them, but Man United really need to turn that around. And after Van Persie's comments a few weeks ago about players being in his space, it's going to raise a lot of questions about their play going into this game week. So it's going to be interesting to see what David Moyes does, how he rearranges the formation, and who plays. But I would go for a win on Man United, but no clean sheets between here. So it's probably going to be like a 2-1, or if there will be a clean sheet, I'll lean towards Man United, but I doubt it. So it could even be a 1-1 draw, So in that instance, if you're looking at a captain option, I would go with either a Rooney or a Van Persie. I'm going with a Mata just because he's had a few days off, and I have a feeling like it's just going to be a really big bounce back for him to come out and play and get a few points. So that's who my captain's going to be this week. It may change, but I doubt that. And I'll go through and tell you why I'm avoiding other teams as we go through them and what I expect. But with Cardiff hosting Fulham, I expect this to be a very open game. And with both teams fighting for contention in the bottom half of the table, points are very important. So each team is going to be looking for the win. That goes without saying, but it's more important when you're in a relegation battle. I'm going to give the edge to Cardiff simply because they're home. But again, I wouldn't look for any players in terms of captains here. Just because there's no one that really stands out that's going to get a lot of points. Now, probably watch that I say that. Someone like Zaha is probably going to get like a hat trick or something and just completely blindside everybody. But again, moving on to Crystal Palace Southampton. I think this will be a very good game. It's going to be close. Crystal Palace are going to be looking to bounce back. And, after that 1-1 draw, which was pretty dramatic last game week, I think they're going to be using that momentum and kind of hold the fort down at home and make it a little bit difficult for someone like Lambert or Lallana on Southampton to get any points. So I know a lot of people will be thinking, oh yeah, that might be an option for a captain, but I would try and steer away from that because this is Tony Pulis' Crystal Palace and they don't concede. They're very tight defensively and it's hard to break them down. So really I wouldn't expect a lot of points coming from Southampton, and I could even see Crystal Palace either pulling another draw out of this or a 1-0 victory. Moving on to Norwich and Stoke. I think Stoke without Adam is going to have a different shape. They're going to be a little bit, not as gelled, if I can say that, as they normally are. And Norwich, if they do get Snodgrass back, I think that'll be very beneficial. So again, I would look for Norwich to have the home field advantage and as a result get the win. Again, maybe a 2-1 or 2-0 victory. Now, the big heavy hitter game, Chelsea and Tottenham. This is kind of where you might think you can get some good captain options. And again, maybe with an Adebayor, sure. Maybe with someone like Hazard, maybe. My three captain options, if I'm going to choose them in order of preference, is going to be Mata, simply because I feel like it's going to be his week. And, West Brom do tend to leak a few goals, so I think he will be kind of the curator or the man behind creating those chances. And then moving on that form or on that tip or on that kind of justification, I think with Hazard at Chelsea, he's going to be the one who's going to be kind of orchestrating the goals and the chances as he did with Shirley's hat-trick last week. So look for him to be in the points as well. And then I'd go with maybe an Adebayor. But again, I think this Chelsea-Tottenham game is going to be very tight. It's going to be close because both teams are right at the top, and points at this stage of the season are becoming very important. And managers know that, so they tighten up the reins. And, but I do feel like there will be one game where it'll just kind of break, and it'll open up the floodgates, and you'll have maybe 3 or maybe 4 goals, but it's going to come from somewhere unexpected. And that's what's unfortunate about this game week. So I think the person who's probably going to get the most points this week is someone who really takes a risk. And I think this is the game week where you can take a risk because you don't have teams like City, Liverpool, and Arsenal to kind of contend with in terms of who am I going to captain. Obviously, 2 big picks are Suarez, Sturridge. Giroud is up there. He's getting up there now. So again, it's really going to kind of force managers to, for the first time this season, to kind of take that risk and say, okay, who am I going to give the armband to? And it's going to be an interesting game week. Even though it's only 5 games, I can see probably some big shifts coming. So I think this is a game week where risks will be rewarded. So that being said, clean sheets. I think Man United are going to bounce back and they're going to have a clean sheet. I also think that Norwich is probably going to keep a clean sheet. I think Crystal Palace will be a tight game, but I do think they may concede 1 at the most. So that would be kind of a third bet for terms of clean sheet. But again, that would be my choices for clean sheets. United and Norwich, I can say confidently. But again, who knows what's going to happen. It's going to be one of those game weeks where it's a lot of fun, and that means very frustrating as well. So be prepared, and as I say every Thursday, I wish you the best of luck, and I will see you next game week.